And I'm live because I have nothing else to do because I am waiting. I'm a Six Flags, waiting for my son to ride the Wonder Woman ride. I'm not in the mood for rides tonight, so just making a quick video. And hopefully the audio is not terrible because I have a bunch of machines around me. Um, I wanted to talk about enemies, baddies and monsters, and this is inspired by something we were talking about on Twitter a while ago, and it's all about how to play monsters correctly. Like when you're fighting, you as a game master, you get your monsters, you prep them, you make sure that the combat is going to be relatively balanced, all that fun stuff. But then when you're actually running the fight, how do you do that? How do you go about it? Well, I think one of the there's certain problem with some of the most popular systems like D&D, and which in a way mixes with a bit of the influence of video games that it's of course are quite popular. And it's the first point I'm going to be talking about is about running a fight until the monsters die. And many, I've been guilty of this. That's like the usual thing. People tend to run a fight, and it's whatever orcs, kobolds, grizzly bear, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And they run the fight until the monsters are dead, or well, the players are dead, but usually until the monsters die. And this is not bad per se, but it gets worse when you have a game like D&D, and then you go higher levels, you go level 4, 5, 6, and then you start having more and more hit points and in play. And then it turns out to be like a slugfest. It's like round after round of hit after hit of you took out 8 hit points, and then 3 hit points, and then 14 hit points, and again and again and again, and it goes, and the monsters all fight until they all die, and the fight takes an hour and a half to run, etc. Most people will find that boring or tedious. That's the point where people start looking at their phones because they they're waiting for the round to swing their sword or cast Eldritch Blast or whatever they're going to be doing. And we want to avoid that. We want to avoid having this situation happen. So I'm just going to offer a couple of tips here while I wait. So the first one is most monsters will not fight until they die. And this applies especially to intelligence or semi-intelligent monsters, and even some beasts will not fight until they die. The exceptions to this rule are undead, zombies, skeletons, that kind of thing, and probably really 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 dumb creatures, or probably something special like some sort of mother beast protecting her nest, something like that. I would say, yeah, a creature like that will fight to death. But for the most part, most creatures will, at some point, especially if they're getting hit and they're getting wounded, they're going to run away. In the case of a more intelligent creature or humanoid, they will surrender probably. So when you're running your fights, try to avoid running them until the end. Be smart. Put yourself in the shoes, the boots of the monster or the creature. And would they really fight until the end? Would they really just die protecting, a chest with gold? I don't think so. And by doing this, you provide not only shorten the fight and make it more interesting if they manage to escape, Now you have a loose end that you have to deal with, or the players have a loose end to deal with. You can create the story on that. If let's say they're fighting a bugbear and the bugbear escapes, and I mean they don't see the bugbear anymore, and then later on in another town, guess who's at the inn where the characters are going to be resting? Same bugbear. So you have now from you have gone from creating a better fight, a more entertaining fight that doesn't drag on forever. Now you have not only that, you have also created a prompt for a future adventure. And another thing related to combat is I would say, and this is more of a kind of like it's more like a rule you can put in your game. Make sure that the players, especially with weapon damage, roll the to hit and damage at the same time. That kind of shortens things, makes them more entertaining. So that's a quick tip regarding running combat. They roll the to hit and damage at the same time. You're saving steps. They don't hit, then doesn't matter. If they hit, the damage is already there. So yeah, just a quick tip. So another thing about running monsters, especially intelligent monsters, is that they can be as sly as the players. They can be as cunning as the players. They don't have to just stand and swing swords, or just kind of like cast spell. An example of this is something I did in my basic fantasy campaign. Our characters, they capture this elf fighter magic user, and they fought with her. She dropped to the ground, wounded but alive. They tied her hands. They took her. So at some point they stayed at an inn, and they basically sneak her into one of the rooms, and a situation happened. They got distracted. This character, I actually rolled for this. I rolled for her trying to. Let me backtrack a little bit. The thing is that this character, I actually made her drop and seem really wounded when she was about half hit points. More or less, half hit points, 2/3. So she was hurt, but she wasn't dying by any means. So she dropped, they took her, so she was basically faking being really wounded. When the player characters got distracted with the situation that was going on where they were staying, she took advantage of this, untied her hands, they didn't tie her feet, and jumped out the window of the second floor. They eventually caught her, but they were mad at me. They were like, no, but she was wounded. We had trapped her. We got her. Well, yes, but why would she just stay there and not try to escape? Just wait for her fate to arrive? No. She would be intelligent. She would be smart. And sometimes we forget this as game masters. We forget that, especially more intelligent creatures and humanoids and entities, they're going to act smartly. They're going to be, if they can trick the characters into, not doing something or distracting or deceiving them, they will do it. And not necessarily by spells or anything like that. They will try to save their hides, And so that's something to keep in mind. Make them intelligent, of course, proportional to the intelligence of the creature. Another example, kind of like a reverse example of this, is in this same campaign, the player characters are fighting against a mercenary group. The magic user cast sleep, and it was a clutch move. Like 5 or 7 mercenaries just dropped down. At that moment, one of the characters jumps, grabs one of the mercenaries, pulls out a dagger, and just puts the knife in front of the neck of the mercenary who was asleep. At that point, the mercenary leader stopped the fight. She stopped the fight. Stop. This is not worth it. She wasn't gonna let one of her people get slain just because, whatever they were defending. She realized that her contract didn't pay enough for that. Plus, it was the life more importantly, it was the life of a fellow mercenary. So you also have to take that into account. Like if a character does something like that, would they just keep fighting, even though they were threatening one of their members? No, they would stop. The same thing players would do. So this goes back to the point, and I made a video a while ago about this, that the GM is also a player, and we sometimes forget that. We are players too, and we have to, of course, we have a lot of work to do because we have more than one character, but we have to play the game, and we have to play the characters as that, and be smart about it. That will make it much more entertaining to the players and for you, because it's not going to drag a long time. And about the hit points and all that, well, there's not much you can do about that. Some games just have a lot of hit points, and you have to deal with that. So those are the things I wanted to talk about. I think my son might be on his way back, so just a quick tip. I hope you like this video. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe, and I hope this little bit of information proves useful to you. And until next time, keep those Z20s rolling.